thing is not to decide anything, actually. It's just to familiarize you with what the hell is going on and what the hell is going to happen in the next few weeks and what are the plans overall in short-term period. Let's start with GitHub. On GitHub, you can see we have a README section that is quite poorly done, a skeleton, so it needs to be improved. But anyways, we yesterday, I think 2 days ago, we created this. 3 days ago, we created this repository. No, 2 days ago, we created this repository, and yesterday I was working on it a bit. What did I do? I added README. And you see there is no code, and there won't be any code for the next 2 weeks because we need to figure out how we do things. And this README needs to upgrade it. Wiki needs to be created for a whole bunch of things. How to get started. What are we doing? What's our goals? Our coding standards, our plan specification, various things. So those things need to be made before we can do anything. And of course, we need to lay out our tasks. So what we need to do. In GitHub, if you go to Projects tab, and if you click on the only project that there is for this repository, Painted Prosthetics, it'll open you a page that is called the Backlog. So Backlog is basically a board for all the progress that is happening in terms of tasks being made and their state. Here we have a bunch of tasks that I made yesterday, and each task has a label. About labels a bit later. Anyways, essentially, the most important columns, I would say, are these 3 and this one. Backlog is basically anything that is new comes to backlog. That's where all the stuff sits. When you figure out if you want to do it in the current sprint, the tasks in 2 weeks period, then from backlog, they move to sprint backlog. And when you do something, when you start working on something, you move it to in progress. And finally, when it's done, it moves to done. And when you create a pull request, it will end up here. When you when your pull request gets approved but not merged, it ends up here. And when your pull request gets merged, it ends up in done. By the way, I said I'm streaming, but I'm not sure if I shared the link or if anyone is aware.
You're streaming.
Okay. Yeah, so you're all seeing and it's all fine.
Well, actually, I would like to have the link.
Okay, sorry. Because okay, thanks.
Where did you post it? I'm a bit in the past.
See me as offline? It's, in general. Yeah. I see I'm being streamed. Aurora, you are at wrong Kaizenel. Kaizenel with double L. Right? No, Kaizenel with double M, sorry. Because it was taken. So just double check the spelling. The link is wrong. PP general. Oops. Come on, that's not the one. Okay. Anyways, that's the backlog. 4 essential parts: backlog, sprint backlog, in progress, and done. When a new story is created, when a new sheet is created, it ends up in backlog. And then when you plan to work on it in relatively short period of time, it ends up in sprint backlog. And then when you are working on it, it ends up in progress, and finally done. Right. Do you have any questions about the backlog and the flow overall, how the tasks move around it?
Not how it moves per se, how you, when do you or me start something or do something?
Anytime you want.
But I see you're doing the README. I can just join on that.
Yes. But if you see something in progress, it's more like it's occupied. So if you can join on with me, that's completely fine. But then if you're joining on something that is already in progress, you should coordinate with me.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah, so because there are different tasks in here, and I could have simply split this into smaller issues, but I chose to just make it as, basically this is a story and this is, each of those is a task. So that is how I chose to create this one in particular. However, if this doesn't work for us, we can change the design and not have a big chunk like this ever, and always split it, each of those per se, to be a small um, issue.
Anywhere we can, like, I'm working on this.
Uh,
Some,
could you repeat?
uh, is there some place you can say like I'm working on this part of this issue,
Um, a
or
pull
just write?
request kinda says that, though pull request might not be created until you're done. Uh, that's why we will have the stand-up, PP stand-up channel.
Oh yeah, okay.
So in PP stand-up channel, you basically say, what are your plans for today? If you have any blockers, and what did you do yesterday? Basically. Or, well, what's your progress? And you report like at the start of a day, or whenever it's convenient to you, once a day, basically. Once a day, or when you work on it, need to figure that out. We decided once a day would be fine, just for the sake of consistency.
Okay.
Um, if you create a pull request, it ends up in, actually, if you create a pull request linking this story, it actually varies. Sometimes pull request itself ends up as an issue, but basically pull requests, they support linking to an issue. This is a bit detailed, but if you basically add either of those keywords in a pull request description, for example, I said added skeleton readme, and I added hashtag for the story number. How do I find story number? If I click, you see this is the issue number, story number. So if I select this hashtag and go here, you see add readme. So if I write hashtag 2 or hashtag any other story ID, it will link to the story. So this links the pull request to the story. And based on what I write, it will do a certain action when I complete the pull request. I'm not sure, but I think all of those actually resolve, like just close an issue in all cases. That's how it's done right now. So anything of those that you write, resolves or anything else, and the story number, issue number, it will end up here upon completion. Next. Any more questions?
Nope.
Okay. How do you create an issue? I think the most convenient way is not to create it from a board, because this is, as you can see, creates a note, but we don't want a note. If I create a note, I then need to convert it to an issue. So it is not really convenient. So what I recommend you to do is to go to Issues and click New Issue button. And then when you create an issue, just name it whatever you want, add comments. Assign yourself if you think you will work on it immediately, or leave it unassigned. Labels, I'll talk about them a bit later. Projects, always select the only one that is there. It's a bit stupid that you cannot, that is not by default this project. I don't know why, but that's how they did it. And a milestone. Right now it's sprint 0, and I added deadlines for every sprint. So sprint 0 ends in 2 weeks, which is May 19th. Sprint 1 ends in 2 weeks, which is June, well, ends in a month, but 2 weeks after sprint 0 ends. So every sprint ends after 2 weeks before after the other sprint. So those are the deadlines. Absolutely preliminary. If you click on a sprint, I also described roughly what we want, what our goals for that sprint, what we are planning to make. So for sprint 0 is to just figure out what we want, what the requirements are, refine the stories, and just prepare for automation. Prepare automation so that we don't need to do too much manual work and so on. If we look at sprint 1, for example, you can see that in sprint 1 we'll try to make a prototype with hard-coded data. That's pretty much it. Next thing, do you have any questions about creating an issue?
Seems clear for me.
Okay. Let's go to labels.
No, we don't fork anything, Aurora.
No, you will merge. You will create new branches and create a pull request, and then pull request approved will be merged into dev branch about branching strategy a bit later. I actually didn't think of talking about it, but I'll talk about it. Anyways, labels. Labels, very trivial stuff. Basically, every story must have a label, which basically categorizes it. Architecture, well, each label has a description, and if we want new labels, don't create them yourself. I don't know if you can. I'll create them for you, but we need to not clutter it too much. And I think right now it's all pretty good labels. So architecture, just for figuring out how we make things, a strategy, what kind of patterns we follow. A automation is like things like pipelines, codacy, architecture, also tooling. Backend is, well, obviously what it is, backend, front end. Blocked means that you cannot do it for whatever reason, and it depends on something that you are not in control of at the moment yourself. Bug is something that is broken. Is there bug fix? There isn't bug fix. Okay. Duplicate means that the issue exists. Enhancement means that we improve something. Feature means that it's a new thing. Front end, you said already. Guide means that we are making a wiki for something. So a new wiki page. High priority means like by default, all issues are low or medium priority, but high priority means that we should focus on it and grab it immediately. Refine means that we need a client or other members to talk about how to do it because it's not clear. Specification means requirements put in a document. Tech debt means dirty code, and testing means what it means, that it needs to be tested, covered better. Any questions from labels?
Nothing from me.
Okay. About branching, I need to open git flow, which is a good thing. If we look at git flow, effectively we'll have these. Oh crap! This kind of flow. Still not very clear. Is it any more clear in any place? Maybe the first one is most clear. Nope. Okay, this is kind of clear. Basically, when we are working on something, that's a feature. Feature, documentation, naming patterns we'll come up with later. We need to create a story for that and define it. I'll do that sometime. But anyways, when you create something, you never work on a master and you never work on development branch. Basically, master branch is something that is working, stable, tested. We all know that it works, it has been reviewed, and it's basically a definition of what is in live. So master is live, and development is where all the progress happens. The development branch is a branch that is shared by developers. You don't commit or push directly to development branch. You create, how does it work? You open a project, you pull the latest changes of the development branch, and you create a new branch called feature/feature name and work in this branch. So if the latest changes are here, you create a new branch, call it feature X, and work on it. And when you're finally done working, you create a pull request and request to merge back into the develop branch. When you're done, it will be merged, so your changes will be in develop branch. And next, the other person who works again on a new feature will now have your changes and will be able to continue. At the end of the sprint, when it's done, we will take the development branch and merge it to master branch. Any questions from git flow?
Nope, so clear for me.
Okay. We don't need this. Okay, let's move that here. Next that I would like someone to do is a use case diagram. It basically says in a high level who can do what in our system. In this example, you can see some system. I don't know what the system is. Probably it sounds like a planning software. You have performer. Actually, it sounds like performance, like maybe concert booking software. Anyways, you have user. That can be either an admin and performer, event planner who is also a user, and a visitor who is not a user yet, who can just buy tickets. Anyways, these are called actors, and these are called use cases. And this is a relation. it reads like this for a more complex one. Well, for a simple one, it reads, every user can submit profile, make friends, join groups, post, but only performers can manage media content and monitor requests. Now, this one reads like this. Event planner can plan event, and planning event includes these activities. When you're planning event, you can publicize it, you can find performer, you can select venue. And uses means that when I'm selecting a venue, I also must add it. That is use case diagram.
Jamie Wells had a question about the Git flow.
Right. What are the benefits of this process? Are there any drawbacks? The benefits of this process is that when you're working on something, you're working in isolation. That is the benefit of Git flow. If you were to commit and master, if everyone were to commit and master, you would eventually end up having merge conflicts. Because how many commits are you making a day? You're making like 20, 15 commits a day. But that could simply be a single or 2 or 3 pull requests. So you want to minimize the amount of changes that are shared only until your pull request is approved and merged. Only then it will be a change that is visible with others. But before that, you will not affect it in any way. And also, if you do mess up, if you did change something that someone else changed, then it's up to the one who adds the new functionality, adds a new feature, and merges it. It's up to them to fix the conflicts. Anyways, pull request is a must, and some people just create pull requests right to master branch. But it's why do we separate development and master branches might be another question. Is because what happens if we have a bug in live? What happens if we broke something during the sprint and we realized what we broke only a few days after we released it? Well, we basically want to fix live branch, the basically version that we have in live, and at the same time continue development in the background without affecting that version. So it's also very convenient to add fixes to the branch which is broken if we have a distinction between development and what is in live. If you released every commit, that would mean that you lose track fast what is a stable version or what was a stable version. And if people keep pushing to master branch, basically if you broke something, it will make it much more unstable than having a stable version, stable branch that you can rely on that works, because that branch will be reviewed in public by everyone, and you cannot afford a review on every commit. It's just illogical. So that's why. So that is master can be broken, but it gets broken, like if it gets broken, it gets fixed easily because it's in isolation from the rest of development process. So you can shift all your attention to master branch. Well, if it's a bigger team, others can still continue developing and it won't affect them, even if master is broken and even if you need to fix it ASAP. It's impossible to have like 10 people fixing one bug one or two is enough, the rest can continue work. That's why it's needed to separate it, not to have those bottlenecks that something broken and everyone suddenly stops doing what they were doing until it's fixed. That's not how it works. Next diagram is components diagram. It's basically the components that we'll have for the system. Our components will be something like gallery, forms, drawing app somewhere, database, browser, of course, and I don't know what else, but basically this is a component diagram and high level overview of how components interact. It's really not complicated, and the whole fact of why you need branches, it's impossible to work in a team without this kind of way. It is complex at the start, but you get used to it and it's trivial and you do it in seconds of making those changes and creating a pull request. But it's 100% used everywhere for big projects. Next, so do you have questions from components diagram? It's a high level view of what like parts are in our software, for just very high level view of what architecture, not what architecture we have, but just how components interact with each other.
No, it's clear.
Okay. Next is something that is used more for user interface. Well, actually, let's just go to this. So this is wireframes. Wireframes are just sketches of how our UI, how we imagine our UI, how it looks like, what pages it has, how do you interact with those pages, you add notes and stuff. So you can see two wireframes here. One in low detail and like just a sketch, and another one in high detail. And it has specific markings, and X is like an image, buttons, labels, boxes, search fields, input fields, buttons, and so on. Wireframes. Again, we would need someone to do this eventually.
Is there someone in the group right now who would like to work on this kind of stuff?
Not many volunteers.
I guess not.
I mean, I could pick it up, but I'm definitely not a designer or an artist, so don't expect high results.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also not sure how to distribute such planning things, because I understand it's weird to work on something that you haven't done before, because there's high chance of making mistakes, of just going way off, and so on.
We could do together, I guess. I mean, yeah, we'll make something up, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't have to be anything, and all that we're aiming for now is not something that will definitely be what you draw or design. We're just trying to have a start, a go at something, and from there we'll move, either completely overhauling the design and trying something else, or maybe improving it. But no matter what you do, it will change, of course. So it's just the first step. This is literally just visual taste, no programming, need neither front end nor back end, just design. Yes, Aurora, for UI design. Next. So that's wireframes, just whatever you think could work and you just sketch it. Okay. And there is one, if you look at the issues, there's one for one for
A mobile app and one
yeah,
for the website.
yeah. I think you didn't give me email yet, so I cannot yet assign. And I'm talking to Aurora, and for the rest, I didn't yet add everyone to the project, so we'll figure it out after the meeting. Next, so that is wireframe, and I'll give links to this post, but just pretty much random posts. Anyways, next would be personas. Imaginary people, actors per se, but with actual names, actual hobbies, actual personalities. Basically, defining personas is a way of understanding whom are we making this product for. We're not making it for an imaginary thing or just a client. We're making it to some user or a group of users. And personas are a way of defining this kind of group of users. Basically, if you look at this one, just anything, any style works as long as it's consistent. You can even make a drawing like here and describe what you think your user is. In our case, that would be marketing representative from some company, amputee who is looking for help, an artist who draws cool design, an artist who maybe just wants to get popular but might not be very kind or drawing. That distinction is important. Next would be admin, the basically the guy who is managing everything. What is in his interest? What does he want? What is his priority? And lastly, maybe some random guest who just stumbled upon, or maybe what kind of guests, also to be a few types. Maybe someone who's into art, maybe someone who is into helping people. We need to understand what kind of people are we wanting to attract and design the product based on that. And for reference how it looks like in some way, I did this document when I was creating C# in website, which failed miserably, but the specification part is quite all right. Basically, you have functional requirements, what it should do, with nice to have, should, could, and won't. This probably also should be defined. So for every role, you have requirements. And this is how it looks like in use case diagram. And actors. And then non-functional requirements, just what security we have, our policy, what are we trying to achieve, what usability standards we have, and justification of our choices, system requirements, tools we use, and so on. Also, entity diagram, one more thing, but that one is for later. It's bit more detailed. So that is it that I wanted to talk about. So you might ask, how do you start working? I think if you are willing to work, just grab a task and do something with it. From something that you shouldn't tackle, all that is flagged with architecture you shouldn't touch because that's too complex, but the rest you can try if you want. Also, automation probably you shouldn't touch because that is something that needs admin rights and would involve me, so I should be doing those. Anyways, if you think that something is missing, or if you can come up with something that needs to be done in here for the website, for the project, for the drawing app, you can put an issue for it, and we will later on figure out where it needs to go or when it needs to be done. So anything you think needs to be done, just create an issue in a backlog. Basically from here, you give it a tag that you want, a label, and if you see something you like, just grab and do. Basically, you own this project along with the rest of the team, and this time whatever you do will be shared with others and impact others. No pressure.
Are you gonna make the development developer branch
Yes.
so we can merge
Yes.
from that?
Yes.
Okay.
For now, all I can do is to just create the very base structure with a folder for docs, a folder for solution, sorry, solution would not be in a folder, an empty solution with tests and source folders. That's all I can do for the now. Until we decide what we want, because if I start creating solution skeleton, I haven't decided on how we should do it, and I will need to talk with you and someone who is experienced about that. How are we going to approach? But our approach is going to be extremely high standards. I'd say better than 75% of projects that you find on GitHub, because all of them are layered or absolutely not layered at all. So we're just trying to be properly architectured, scalable. We're going to be a monolith that will be a modular monolith. So we're aiming for modular design so that in the future, maybe we could scale to microservices if needed and so on. That's the goal for architecture. So yeah, this needs refinement. You can work on this one for sure. About coding standards, you can also work on that one. There is no story, but I will create one. How are we supposed to manage points if we have any to evaluate complexity? I don't know yet, but I'll look into if there is anything we can do. Anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about. Do you have any questions?
No, that's it. Good, thank you.
All right. So for now, again, I'm just trying to create stories, do something, do planning. It's probably not for everyone this stage. We're not really developing anything yet. It's just planning, requirements gathering, and in my opinion, this step needs to be done thoroughly before we can actually start working on anything.
I agree.
Quick question, Kai. If I want to work any of those on any of those issues, I'll need to be added to the projects in order to assign myself to it, or how would that work?
I think so, yes. I mean, if you send me an email as I requested, you will be a part of a team. How does the team look like? If we go here, you can see painted prosthetics, and you can see, oh, sorry, wrong one. If you click on teams, you can see here a team for painted prosthetics dev. And when you join the team, so far just one person that joined, and you'll end up in a team. And being a member of a team, you will be able to review code, create pull requests without the need of forking, and so on. So
I see.
yeah, those are the benefits, and work with the backlog directly.
Sounds good.
So right, if you need any help, if you have any questions, if you have any plans for now, also for now, I'm not sure. Just you can just say informally if you're working something, just post something in the stand-up channel. That's pretty much it. But for now, it's not very organized. We don't know what we want. We don't know how we do it. We just do it, see how it goes, and in 2 weeks' time, after the sprint, we'll see how we improve our process. Agile is a continuous a process which improves itself every sprint. So we'll improve the way we work every 2 weeks, and we'll see what we did bad, what we can improve upon, how to make it efficient.
Will you be streaming the architecture stuff?
Yes.
Good. That's pretty interesting, I think.
The whole thing, I like, my goal is to document everything from the start and make the whole thing as an educational series of videos. Not sure if it's just a bootcamp thing. I think it would be just a series by itself. Basically, for how do you make a project from absolute zero, from gathering requirements all the way to going to live.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. So for now, we just need to clean up and organize stuff.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So thanks for your time, for being here, and see you, I don't know, in a week or two. Well, in the next lesson, and after that in a week or two, for seeing how we're doing, or if there is any progress.
Wait, are we using MVC or Blazor?
Neither. React.
Oh, okay.
React and TypeScript for client. React and TypeScript because MVC and Blazor are second-handed front-end clients. There is absolutely nothing that comes close to the holy trinity of front-end: Angular, React, and Vue.
I did not know that they could do backend stuff. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I also don't have much knowledge in front-end, but there will be others who can help, so we'll see.
Okay.
All right. So thanks, guys, again for being here, and see you later.
See you later.
Thank you.
You.